Good day. I'm Dr. Paula Marie Seniors. I'm an associate professor of Africana Studies at Virginia Tech. I have an award-winning book called Beyond Lift Every Voice and Sing: The Culture of Uplift, Identity, and Politics in Black Musical Theater. My forthcoming book is called For Freedom Now. And I have an edited volume, Black Women Respond to Michelle Obama. I want to welcome everybody on behalf of the Links, wonderful organization here in Charlottesville, Virginia, as well as the Virginia Foundation for the Humanities and the producers of the Virginia Festival of the Book. Please turn off all your cell phones. Okay. I will just tell you, the festival is free of charge, not free of cost. So please remember to go online and give back or pick up a giving envelope from the information desk at the Omni Hotel and support your festival so we may sustain it for many, many years. Please fill out the evaluations. These provide useful information that helps the festival continue to be free and open to the public. Following the talk, there will be a book sale, so please support our fabulous authors by buying their books, okay? And the program today is called African American Stories of Work, Change, and Dispossession. And this is featuring M.J. O'Brien, Tammy Ingram, Steven Reich. Is that correct? Reich? Okay. Pete Daniel, and I am the moderator. So we'll begin with Pete Daniel. He has been both a professor of history and a public historian. He has served as the president of the Southern Historical Association and the Organization of American Historians, and he currently lives in Washington, D.C. This is his 7th book, Dispossession. Let's welcome him, please.
Thank you. How many farmers do we have here?
Here.
One farmer? 2, okay. In Dispossession, I analyzed discrimination that drove black farmers from the land and record the story of the stalwart black farmers who fought back. It was an unfair fight. From top to bottom, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, was run by white men, many prejudiced against African Americans, women, Indians, Hispanics, that is, anyone who was not a white male. Recall that by 1910, African Americans held title to some 16 million acres of farmland. By 1920, there were 925,000 black farmers, their acquisition of land and tenure coming during some of the country's harshest racial discrimination and violence. During the height of the civil rights movement in the 1960s, the black farm count in 10 southern states fell from 132,000 to 16,000, an 88% decline. This was not an accident. 3 USDA agencies played a crucial role in discriminatory policies. The ASCS handled allotments, that is how much of a crop a farmer could grow, and managed a lot of other programs, a lot of subsidy programs. The Federal Extension Service offered advice on the latest farming techniques, organized 4-H clubs for rural youth, and established home demonstration clubs for rural women. The Farmers Home Administration, FHA, offered loans to farmers unable to secure credit from private sources. These 3 powerful agencies wielded tremendous economic and political power. They hired office staffs, selected extension and home demonstration agents, controlled information, adjusted acreage allotments, disbursed loans, adjudicated disputes, and in many cases looked after family and friends. County administrators had enormous discretion in how programs were carried out and who benefited. The Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC, contested ASCS elections for these powerful county committees that carried out these policies. And despite SNCC's imaginative tactics, they ran into duplicity, lies, and even violence. And they won only a few seats over the years they were involved in actively contesting these seats. I've devoted 3 chapters to their efforts. And this effort has largely been whited out by the Department of Agriculture that claims that it was they, not SNCC, that encouraged black farmers to vote, which is totally untrue. And the cover of my book, this was taken by one of the people who worked for SNCC, Elaine DeLotte Baker. And it's a picture she took in Panola County, Mississippi, of a black farmer doing something with plowing across a field. And there's several other of her pictures in the book, but she's one of these people who came to Mississippi in the summer of '64. And it was her and others who organized to contest these elections. The Extension Service integrated in 1965, meaning that African American administrators transferred from black to white land-grant colleges, where they were given nothing to do. Black county agents and home demonstration agents out in the counties were put under white control with secondary titles. At Tuskegee University, Willie Strain had edited The Negro Farmer, which was a very popular newspaper giving accounts of all the news that farmers like to read. When he was transferred to Auburn University, he was shunned and given no duties. He said when he walked in the morning, the white people would turn their backs to him, and he would go into his office and put his books down, and then he would go to the library and read. Well, he got tired of that and went back to graduate school to seek another degree, and then returned to Auburn, received the same treatment, and when he was passed over for a position as head of the division, which he was highly qualified to do, he sued. And the case became a major civil rights case. Strain v. Philpott being the president of Auburn University. And the decision rendered by Judge Frank Johnson basically dismembered all of that prejudicial structure that the Alabama Extension Service had, and said, you will hire a black person for this and this, that made it very explicit what had to be done. So the Strain case is very important, but how many of you had ever heard of Willie Strain before? I hadn't either until I started this project. And the archivist at Auburn University said, oh, did you know Willie Strain is still alive and he's living over in Tuskegee? So I went and interviewed him and another person who had this similar treatment. The Farmers Home Administration systematically denied farmers loans, and since they, like their white neighbors, needed credit to buy seeds, fertilizer, and pesticides to start the crop year, many were forced out of farming. These county FHA people had total power on who got loans. There was no appeal, no matter what even the committee said. It was the administrators, and there are many stories in this book about administrators that were horrible, prejudicial, and so forth. Some of this story is seen through the eyes of William Sebron, who was an African-American administrator of the Civil Rights Office in the Department of Agriculture. And he was an isolated black man in a very prejudiced bureaucracy. And his attempts to do things were thwarted. Memos he sent were intercepted. And then after the Nixon administration came in, the people at USDA blamed him for not having achieved more civil rights. Timothy Pigford was a North Carolina farmer who, in 1999, after joining with a lot of other farmers, had a case called Pigford v. Glickman. Now, how many of you have heard of that case? A lot more of you have heard of that. The judge in this case basically said that since 1981, when the Nixon administration quit, when they started throwing complaints into the trash, since then, any black farmer who had documentation to prove discrimination could join this suit and try to get some money back for discrimination. And of course that happened.